But I want to talk about the last thing about your case that you got going on. Your client, Mr. Rodriguez, the horrific incident that occurred in his house. I have a video on my YouTube channel, Alexander News Show. And those of you that don't know what happened, I'm not going to talk. Mr. Collins is going to talk a little bit about it. But if you want to see everything that happened, go to the list of videos. It's right there. Okay, and you will see exactly what the Medley police officers did to this poor young individual, and his wife was witnessing this, and they're completely traumatized. I mean, this is the kind of crap to stop with police departments, not only in Miami, but all across the country. Tell me what happened with Mr. Rodriguez in reference to the Medley police officers. Please elaborate.
Okay, I want to tell you what the allegations in the complaint are, okay? Basically, Mr. Rodriguez and his wife were living at their home in unincorporated Dade County, outside the town of Medley. And these three Medley police officers, it's our position that they went outside.
By the way, one of them is Mr. Gutierrez. Mr. Gutierrez is one of the officers.
Right. And they went out their jurisdiction, where they didn't have any police powers. They went into his yard, which had a closed gate, and went there and tried to arrest him by reaching our position. They reached into his house to grab him. All three officers ran in. There was a tussle. And during this tussle, this is a year before George Floyd. I make that point here because I don't want anybody here to say, oh, he saw what happened with George Floyd and he copied it. That's why he did it that way. But fortunately, Mr. Rodriguez's fiance was sensible enough, had it together enough to take out her video camera and start filming. And it shows this police officer, German Gutierrez, putting my client in a chokehold. And you hear Mr. Rodriguez, it's scary when you see it. I'm sure you've seen it many times. And he says, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
Yes.
And that is just beyond me to think about something like that happen. And it's kind of haunting. It's haunting to Mr. Rodriguez a year and a half later when the TV's on and here is George Floyd being choked and dying, saying the same words he did. And his thoughts there that I could have died that day. My children would have been orphans, 3 kids. And what was this arrest over? The allegation he stole a $1,500 Apple laptop 2 months earlier.
I read that the video.
Okay.
What a disgrace.
That they had to leave the jurisdiction. Well, I studied Mr. Gutierrez, the police officer, and I discovered that in 2006, he was fired, coincidentally by the Miami Beach Police Department, for excessive force.
I have that on my media, by the way, listed.
Okay, he was fired for excessive force by the Miami Beach Police Department, and he was eventually hired by the Medley Police Department and given full police powers, although Miami Beach Police found that he had violated his code of conduct.
Did he work for Virginia Gardens too? Virginia Gardens is a little village.
He went from Miami Beach to Virginia Gardens, and then to Medley. Virginia Gardens seems to be they pay a lesser amount, so they seem to be able to pick up these officers. It's interesting that officers are required to have a psychological exam in their cases. So if you look at Mr. Gutierrez's psychological exam, that he had with Virginia Gardens, there's no mention of the what happened on Miami Beach and any
Wow.
event involving any misconduct. So that tells you two things. One, he never mentioned it. And two, the village of Virginia Gardens never provided
Virginia
the
Gardens.
information. Virginia Gardens, Village of Virginia Gardens, never provided that information to psychologists. Now, how do I know that? Because I've spoken to the psychologist and I said, were you provided that information? And he said, absolutely not. I would have never written the report that way that I did if I had been provided that information. So was it an act of concealment? Was it intentional? Was it by accident that wasn't provided? But that's true about what happened. It's going to be a very interesting case. It's going to take a while. The charging document, which is called a complaint, it's the longest one I've ever written with full details in it. You can, if you want to, you could put it on your thing for people to download or look at it. It's 92
Oh,
pages.
I definitely will.
It's 92 pages.
I'm in the process, Colin.
It's 92 pages. It's 369 paragraphs. And there's
Did you send, by the way, did you send me that?
I thought
What
I
you're
did.
mentioning right now?
I thought I did, but if I didn't.
I'll ask you if I did, if I got it.
Okay, I thought I did, but if I didn't, I'll be happy to, instead of you having to download it, I'll send it to you because it costs money to download it from the system. But
I'll personally go get it.
Pardon me?
I'll personally go myself and get it. Sometimes stuff get lost.
I can send it to you. No, I'll send it to you in an email.
Okay.
And it's already in PDF.
Let me
email.
let me ask you this. We're time, but just want to real quick. The town of Medley Police Department, do they have a history of police?
I don't know their history.
I mean, it's a joke. I'll be honest with you, Mr. Collins.
I've heard rumors, but I haven't been able to find anything that substantiated that. You know,
I'm sorry, I have to mention.
Okay, go on.
Why do they even have a police force? I mean, it boggles my mind. What a waste of taxpayer.
They have 37.
It's warehouse. It's all warehouses, man.
They had 37 police officers or 37 employees in the police department in Medley. The population is somewhere between 1,000 to 2,000 in Medley. And I'm not sure how much acreage is there. I've never been out there, but as you said, a large part of it is
3 square miles.
Okay, is an industrial park. And I discovered.
I'll tell you right now. Go ahead. While I'm looking this up.
I discovered in looking at it recently that the mayor of Medley, come on, take a guess. How much does he get paid a year?
100,000.
Double that.
200,000 a year.
Right, and also.
Who's the mayor of Medley?
Roberto, I think it's Martel, but I can't be sure off the top of it. He, and that doesn't, I don't know what his expense account would be. And I don't know if the town of Medley provides health insurance for him and his family, or there's a retirement package. But as far as direct salary is concerned, it's over $200,000 last time.
Well, it's 6 square miles. 5.98 square miles. That's what Medley, Florida is.
Okay. So it's not that big, but
it's trailers. People that live there, their homes. That's it.
Okay.
And it's
I
elderly.
haven't been there.
Well, I go by there all the time. That's Pepe Diaz. district, by the way.
Well,
County Commissioner Pepe is another. I call him the suck ass poser because all he does pictures.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know anything about it. I live up here in Broward, but if you want to check, I don't know if the trailers there own the property where they're on, but you can possibly check what the millage rate or the charge rate is for the land there and see if they pay any property tax based on what goes on there. I don't think most of the citizens know how much the mayor makes there or how much revenue comes into the city.
It's a disgrace what they did to your client. And I certainly hope, and I'm going to pray, and I'm going to do everything in my power to expose this, that your client gets justice.
Well,